Hey folks, happy Wednesday. Yes, hump day in full effect, and welcome to the Fox 5 Live Zone. I'm your host, Guy Lambert. Thank you so much for joining us. Coming up on the show today, it is a major sweep for the Democrats in Virginia. Republicans now crying foul. The question is this a precursor with regard to what will happen during the 2026 midterms? We'll break it all down for you. Want to get away? Well, apparently flying, yeah, easier said than done. Would you believe now there's an app for that? That app will tell you where planes are at. And we're talking skinny. Apparently, I kind of need to do a better job of that with this suit. In this case, skinny homes in the nation's capital, but better yet, in good old New York City. All that and more coming up on the show. But first, how about we talk weather, shall we? Tucker Barnes joining us right here.
I have a question. Do you get skinny prices with your skinny houses?
No, try inflated fat prices.
With your skinny houses?
With your skinny houses, yeah.
Okay.
I can't wait for you to check out this story. It's really kind of cool.
All right, I can't wait too. Meanwhile, weather's been fabulous, and we'll today probably pick of the week.
Oh, I got to give you a fist bump. Yeah, the weather is awesome, dude.
Also, I love fist bumps, but I accept plain old cash donations as well.
I don't know. Empty there.
Been here a long time. I don't know if you figured out or not, but you know, I haven't saved enough for retirement. That's why I keep working. So
gotcha.
I can use every dollar I can get. Okay, 56 in Washington. We are looking at. Are you ready for this? A continued surge in temperatures. We were cold this morning, by the way. A lot of low 30s out there.
Yeah, I saw that.
If you're up early with us, and with that wind out of the south here, we're going to watch numbers near 70 this afternoon. So it should really turn into a beautiful late afternoon. Generally sunny, and although a little breezy, no complaints when temperatures 10 degrees above average, like we're expecting later today. Quiet as can be. Warm front came in early. There are a few clouds I'm looking at the midday hour here, so it won't be perfect sunshine, but generally sunny and very pleasant. And enjoy, because today will be 70. Tomorrow will only be in the 50s. If you look off to the north and west out towards Chicago, there's a cold front. See it? Mm-hmm. It's waving. Blue line back there. Anyways, it comes through later tonight. Dry, Guy, and it won't bring us any rain, but it will bring us cooler numbers tomorrow. So daytime highs tomorrow will be back in the 50s. And then we'll bounce around some this weekend, maybe a couple of showers this weekend. But I want to point out that is the extended outlook for early next week, our coldest air yet. It is November after all. I don't want to call it a bitter blast, but it will be chilly around here for a couple of days early next week. And we may have a good hard freeze even inside the beltways. So we haven't seen that yet. You can see that on the 7-day forecast. 70-day, 58 tomorrow. Could be a shower early Saturday. It will not be a rain out kind of weekend. If you're going to the Commanders game Sunday afternoon at 4:25, clouds and maybe a shower or two, but mild, upper 60s. And then the cold front will get in late Sunday night. And look at Monday, Tuesday. Highs in the 40s, overnight lows in the low to mid 30s.
Hey, speaking of chilly, tomorrow we're getting a prediction with regard to snow, right?
We have our winter outlook here at Fox 5. Yes, we've been hard at work, and we will let you know how much snow to expect this year, whether or not you will go to school in the month of January, and if you'll continue school in July, because we have so many snow days.
All right. We love it. Well, I love the snow. Don't know about everybody else. Tucker Barnes, all things weather, right here on the Live Zone. Guys, if you haven't already done so yet, make sure you download the Fox Local app and take that forecast with you on the go. Well, if you're counting, it's now day 36 of the government shutdown, making it the longest in U.S. history. This comes as Democrats made gains around the country by promising new leadership in last night's elections. We'll get to that momentarily. In the meantime, Minority Leader Chuck Schumer now speaking on health care and the SNAP crisis on yet again the now record-long shutdown. Let's take a live look in.
The election the American people have spoken. End the shutdown. Resolve this health care crisis, sit down and talk with us. We've been saying it for a long time, but that is becoming obvious even to Republicans, even to Donald Trump, who's often a very stubborn guy. Yes. Yes. Look, I've always encouraged Democrats and Republicans to sit down and talk with each other, but all of we Democrats agree, just about every single one of us, that Trump should sit down and talk with us as a way to solve this. Everyone agrees on that. Okay? We'll take last one.
Would you, just following on that, would you accept a vote at a later date on health care?
I'm not negotiating in public, but I told you what the answer is. The answer is to sit down and talk to us. This election is clear as a bell, and I think it's going to affect Trump. And I think it's going to affect the Republicans. They can't, if they put their heads in the sand about this election and continue on their same path, their shutdown, their inability to help people with health care, tariff, and other costs, they're going to be in big trouble. And that's why I'm feeling, look, this is just a battle. We have a long war to fight. But the war we're fighting, the electorate supports, which is bring our costs down. Trump promised to do it on day one. Costs are going up. Tariff costs dramatically up because of Trump. Electricity costs dramatically up because of Trump. Healthcare costs dramatically up because of Trump and the Republicans. 3 times they refused to extend the ACA credits. Thank you, everybody.
All right, there you have it. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer discussing all things surrounding health care and the SNAP crisis, also making mention of the big wave for the Democrats last night in Virginia, the state of New Jersey, and yet again, New York City. Speaking of the big blue wave, locally, Abigail Spanberger not only flipped the governor's mansion, but became the first woman ever elected governor in Virginia. Current Governor Glenn Youngkin gave his congratulations this morning.
Over the course of the next roughly 10 weeks, Governor-elect Spanberger will build her team. She will run her transition, and we will support her in that process so that she and her team can hit the ground running.
Ghazala Hashimi becomes lieutenant governor, making her the first Muslim woman and first South Asian American to hold statewide office in Virginia. And in a closely watched attorney general race, Jay Jones defeated the incumbent despite controversy during the campaign. The president had this to say about his party's losses.
You read the pollsters, the shutdown was a big factor, negative for the Republicans. And that was a big factor. And they say that I wasn't on the ballot was the biggest factor. But I don't know about that, but I was honored that they said that.
Yet again, the president crying foul in so many words, stating that he was not on the ballot. Joining us to discuss this and so much more is Christina Intello, senior Democratic strategist, back here on the Live Zone. Good to see you. It's been quite some time. Welcome back to the show.
It has been. Thanks for having me.
But of course, you're all smiles, and I would probably say a lot of Democrats all smiles. We're talking about the blue wave. We have a lot of ground to cover. So let's start locally in the state of Virginia, my home state, I should add, the Commonwealth. Abigail Spanberger, she too all smiles this morning or afternoon, becoming the first female governor of that state. Your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, it was a big night for her. Congrats to her and her team. What it signifies, I think, for Virginia, I mean, she really moved the entire state back Democratic. I mean, across the way on counties, several counties all the way back, but also kind of across, several voting blocks, right? Women, Latinos, African Americans, kind of across the way. She really moved everybody back to the Democratic column.
Yeah, yet again, this is truly a monumental moment. She becoming the first female governor in the state of Virginia. Let's shift our focus now to Ghazala Hashimi, becoming the first Muslim woman and first South Asian American to hold statewide office. Yet again, it's history in the making.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Democratic ticket kind of performed really well. She's also a really great candidate here across the board. Republicans did not run really great candidates, but our candidates were really strong across the board. She ran a really great campaign. Her ads were really good, and across the board, kind of they outperformed.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hit up I-95. In this case, up the New Jersey Turnpike. We'll start with New Jersey, where yet again all smiles. In this case, we're making reference to the new governor there. We're talking about none other than Democrat Mikey Sherrill, set to be the next governor of the Garden State. This not really a surprise.
Well, actually, the Republicans, it seemed like the polling was tighter here in New Jersey, and this one was a little bit more of a nail biter originally. The polling kind of showed this being closer, but to have it be as much as a blowout like it ended up being was really kind of a great story. But this is a great candidate, just like Spanberger. I mean, both of these women were with military backgrounds, really strong resumes across the board with good leadership. Really pulled this off in a really good way.
All right, speaking of pulling it off in a really good way, how about a big way? I'm making reference to Zohran Mamdani, the new mayor of New York City. Did this victory surprise you at all, Christina?
It didn't. I mean, this was expected by most folks here, obviously. But, I don't want to read too much into it. A lot of folks are trying to, especially the conservatives, the Republicans, are trying to say this is the face of the Democratic Party. I wouldn't say that at all. Obviously, these two candidates that won in these governorships are very kind of conservative moderates down the middle of the road, and he's obviously very liberal. socialist, a self-proclaimed socialist. I think the Democratic Party is a wide tent, but I think more than anything, he ran with a message of something to vote for and affordability. That's a big problem in New York, and he gave something for those voters to look forward to. He gave them a message to really kind of hone in on, as opposed to just Trump is terrible. He said, hey, I hear you. You have an affordability problem, and I've got some plans for it. I might not agree with all of his plans, and maybe all of his plans aren't exactly practical, but he gave his voters something to look forward to.
Yeah, well, a lot of folks are now stating that his legal team really, in essence, needs to be laced in gold because, well, the Trump administration perhaps will throw any and everything at him, including the kitchen sink.
I don't doubt it. I mean, that's what this Trump administration does, right? They go after anybody they don't like. Not sure that that's completely the way that the Department of Justice is supposed to run, obviously, and he's used it to go after all of his enemies. But hopefully that he and his team will be prepared for it. Hopefully they're documenting all of the things that they need to, crossing their T's and dotting their I's and doing everything above board, and they should be above reproach.
Yeah, as you stated earlier, a number of folks, including, well, the man himself, stated that he is a democratic socialist. I'm curious, your take on this, Christina. If that's actually the case, will this not add fuel to the fire for Republicans now to really show up in droves come midterms 2026?
Again, like this, calling him the face of the Democratic Party is really overstating it. He is one candidate. He is in New York City, probably one of the most liberal places of Democratic politics that there can be. A very pragmatic and moderate type of candidate wins in Virginia and wins in New Jersey, probably wins in more places in the country. Each candidate runs the campaign that they need to run in their specific districts. And that is what will happen in the midterms. And so, sure, conservatives will jump on it, and they will try to make him the face of the entire party everywhere they can, just like they did with Nancy Pelosi back in the day. But I don't think that will stick. The party is a big one, and our candidates that we are recruiting across the country are going to be good ones.
Yeah, obviously we heard President Trump speak earlier with regard to all things that took place last night with the Democrats. He, in essence, playing down the blue wave. Is he now playing politics and, well, not stating the obvious?
Well, he's trying to say he's not on the ballot. Well, he's not going to be on the ballot ever again. So that's kind of the hand that Republicans are going to be dealt with. But listen, the midterms are coming up in a year. I heard somebody talk about it. If a presidential year is the varsity game, the midterms are the JV game. And, we really got to get everybody out there. There's not going to be a presidential candidate on any of the tickets. And so we've really got to get all of the best candidates that we can running. And we'll try to get our turnout machine out. And if Republicans can't get their turnout machine going because they don't have Trump on the top of the ticket, well, good luck to them.
Well, whether or not it's a JV game or a varsity game, one thing's for sure, everyone is probably working on their jump shot. Yet again, we've been speaking with Christina Intello, Senior Democratic Strategist, kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, my friend.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Well, a government shutdown now preventing millions of Americans from receiving SNAP benefits. Withholding SNAP funds is a political choice. However, yesterday, a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to find a way to find money for SNAP funding. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is economy reporter Ali Kelly on the Live Zone. Ms. Kelly, good to see you and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So there is a lot of back and forth with regard to SNAP benefits. However, clearly, there's still a disconnect with, well, the funds that the folks of America need in order to maintain funding and put food on their table.
Absolutely. We are looking at a program that 42 million Americans rely on to afford groceries every month. And so having funding secured for SNAP is something that really directly impacts Americans' everyday life. It is something that the program had enough in the bank to pay full October benefits, but come November 1st, the U.S. government, because of the shutdown, wasn't sure that they would be able to pay these November benefits because it is a program that, while it's managed by states, is fully funded at the federal level. And it's something that there's two court cases in Rhode Island and in Massachusetts. Both are calling on the Trump administration to fund SNAP during the government shutdown until the government reopens. And a court ruling last Friday made it so that the Trump administration, the Department of Agriculture, will have to pay partial SNAP benefits in November to kind of bridge that gap a little bit. The administration signaled in a November 3rd court filing that they would adhere to that. That's something that Caroline Leavitt in the press briefing room said yesterday. However, the president posted on Truth Social yesterday that he plans to withhold SNAP benefits until the government shutdown ends. So I think that states and Americans that rely on this program are really caught in sort of whiplash right now and not knowing what's going to happen with these really vital benefits.
Yeah, whiplash in limbo, definitely. You made mention of one of the court cases that we know that has now been filed. In this case, I want to make reference to the court case in which the USDA to distribute some $8 billion in total needed for all November benefits. This is, in essence, a takeaway from the initial request of just partial benefits, is it not?
Yes, it's this kind of money is coming from a contingency fund, which is sort of an emergency fund that the government has in cases like this. And so the Department of Agriculture kind of had initially said, we can't use these funds for SNAP because we've already decided, we've previously allocated through Congress, that this needs to go to something like school lunches or disaster relief, especially with some recent hurricanes. And so having these kind of allocations redistributed to SNAP is something that has a lot of kind of legal in the weeds process that needs to go into it. And so we're really watching the Trump administration is supposed to provide more clarity in court likely this afternoon and again at a hearing on Thursday in terms of how much SNAP benefits they will be able to provide this month if the government doesn't reopen, and what that will look like directly for beneficiaries.
Yeah, yet again, this is truly concerning and affecting so many Americans. I know you don't have the crystal ball sitting in front of you, Ms. Kelly, but how do you foresee this ending?
I think that there is a significant amount of pressure to end this government shutdown. As of today, we are on day 36, which makes it the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. And so we have hundreds of thousands of federal workers that are going without pay or furloughed. And so they've gone over a month without a full paycheck right now. We've got 42 million Americans that are relying on SNAP and aren't sure if they're going to be able to pay for groceries in the next few days or in the next few weeks. There's a lot of other benefit programs that are kind of at risk of running out of funding. I know that travelers are really worried about, what this means for holiday travel and just the function of America's airports.
Sure.
So federal funding touches so many things. And I think that being able to feed people and people being able to afford a very, very basic essential of just being able to go to the grocery store is a really acute part of this government shutdown as it drags on, how this is making life really difficult for people. And I think that there's been there's absolutely discussions and pressure from both Democrats and Republicans of how can we resolve this? How can we reopen the government?
Yeah, making life difficult is one thing. Making folks hungry, that's a whole nother story. Yet again, hopefully this will come to an end in the near future. We have been speaking with economy reporter Ali Kelly, joining us right here on the Live Zone. We truly appreciate your time. All right, folks, well, obviously, with the government shutdown, all eyes happen to be on the friendly skies, but the skies, not so friendly. Now there's a man that's created an app that can apparently help with that. We'll chit-chat with him in 2 minutes, right here on the Live Zone. folks, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, it's no secret staffing shortages continue to snarl flights at several major airports, and there really isn't an end in sight. With the government shutdown affecting air travel nationwide daily, travelers are seeing longer lines, flight delays, and uncertainty around upcoming flights. Joining us to discuss this is Mr. Ryan Jones. Who is he, you ask? Well, he's the CEO of Flighty, the real-time flight tracking app, which can offer expert insight into how the shutdown is disrupting air traffic operations. Mr. Jones, good to see you, sir, and welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Guy.
I got to tell you, you are grabbing the attention of a lot of folks right now. Outside of the government shutdown being one of the top stories in America, well, so are airport delays. We are seeing it time and time again on a daily basis. This new app will really give folks an insight and help them out with regard to taking to the friendly skies. Do tell.
That's right. Yeah, we support everything any question you would have about your flight. Is it delayed? What gate is it at? Why is it delayed? Where is my plane coming from? You know, we're 5 years old and we've been wanting to bring that and make it easier to all users out there. And this is just a time when those pain points are really acute, and it's really helpful for people to be able to see why exactly is their flight. You know, normally these are things like weather or general slowdowns, but these days it's almost always staffing, and that's in the air traffic control tower. Just a few days ago, there were 30 airports that were seeing delays due to staffing and air traffic control.
Yeah. Ryan, yesterday, live on this show, we had a breaking news with regard to a potential bomb scare that happened at Reagan National Airport. It was a bomb threat of some sort, turned out to be null and void. I'm curious, we're taking a look at what took place actually yesterday. That flight was a United flight inbound from Houston. You see the passengers exiting right there, heading to the terminal. When something like this happens, Ryan, how soon would your app be able to adjust and tell me, the passenger, that, hey, perhaps you're going to find a delay or two?
Yeah, so we pull from the exact same information that your pilot and the FAA and air traffic control are sourcing from. That's one of our key advantages, is we're going out there and getting the best data across the whole world possible. And in a lot of scenarios, we'll tell you about delays or gate changes before the pilot themselves. In a situation like that, which is really rare and unfortunate, I don't think we would necessarily say that exactly what the issue is, but you would know that that plane was supposed to take off at, let's say, 11:25, and instead they've been moved aside for other planes to take off.
Yeah. This is really awesome. It's a game changer, I would argue. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been en route to the airport, and to your point, I didn't get that text or that email from the airline, let's say, making reference to a gate change, and then I find myself, sprinting to the gate in order to make sure I still board that plane on time. Well, what are folks saying that have actually downloaded it and are using it?
That's a great question. Yeah, we hear all the time from users who have found out about delays or cancellations or changes before the airlines have let them know. That's one of our key advantages. We're really experts at finding this information and bringing it to users as fast as possible. The airlines are great at flying and travel and booking, and we're really great at telling you the live status of your flight. We hear stories all the time about a user who's standing in line to board their flight, and the pilot is standing right next to them. And they'll mention, oh, Flighty just told me that the flight was delayed. And the pilot will say something like, no, of course it's not. I'm the one flying the plane. And then it turns out they are delayed, and the pilot will come back and ask that passenger, how did you know that? And so we have a lot of pilots and a lot of crew who've started adopting the app so that they know as fast as passengers exactly what's going on.
Yeah, gosh, this is just so cool. I'm all things technology, and so when I find out something that's advanced, if you will, it just puts a smile on my face. And so with that being said, where do you expect this to go sometime in the near future? And the reason why I bring that up is because I would argue that you all probably have had a flood of folks trying to figure out what's going on with their flight. And is it something that you can continue to maintain?
Absolutely, yeah. We have the scale to handle all these new users. You're right, there's been a lot of them. One of the things that's key right now is the security side of this is incredibly unpredictable. The way that this works, if people don't know, is these TSA workers and these air traffic controllers are being asked to come in, being told actually to come into work and not being paid. And so they're coming and doing basically the best job that they can, and people, it'd be really, it's nice when people can take that into account and not really get frustrated at them. And one of the things to be aware of is, on Reagan, they have a live security wait time. So you can look it up what exactly the security wait time is for there. But if it's Dulles, it doesn't have that. So definitely go to the airport early, be kind to these people who are working without pay. And in terms of where it goes from here, I think I'll leave that to a political expert. We just kind of want to do the best possible to surface exactly why your flight is delayed. And so you'll see in the app things like Dulles is operating an hour and a half slower than normal, or Reagan is operating perfectly normally, so that we're giving you everything you need to know about your flight.
Yeah, Ryan, you bring up a great point, and that is, yet again, if I'm running late for my flight and I did not know that, I'm going to have an attitude. I keep it real on this show. I'm not going to be too happy. But now knowing that I can really utilize this app, download it, and know that, hey, Guy, you got to give yourself a little extra time. My encounter with the TSA agents, who are probably already stressed out to begin with, it's going to be a lot better.
That's right. Yeah, nobody likes working without pay, and I think it's hard to remember in those super stressed out scenarios that person is there kind of their own free will. Of course, they are, required to do that by law, but a lot of these people are calling out sick because they need to go find a way to pay their bills and get a second job. We do try to provide that calming force, and what a lot of our users say is that the app really gives them the confidence to not be stressed about the travel and to be more focused on where the trip is that they're going, the enjoyment they're going to have, or the business meeting that they need to handle.
Yeah, one thing's for sure, we're team TSA folks, we're team air traffic controllers, and so we're also team, in this case, Flighty, because, well, you are making it so much more easier for folks to take to the skies. We have been speaking with Mr. Ryan Jones. He is the CEO of Flighty. Before I let you go, is it just a matter of headed to my Play Store and typing in Flighty and downloading it?
That's right. We're actually only available on iOS at the moment, so you can go to iOS or the Mac App Store, or if you have an iPad, and type in Flighty.
Absolutely love it. Mr. Jones, truly appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Guy.
All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Stuck in my head.
A nuclear war cannot be won.
A few months ago, I heard a story about weapons of mass destruction and a very small boat. A boat that's become a symbol for peace and represents a global plea to end nuclear war.
From 1946 to 1958, the U.S. government bombed the Marshall Islands with nuclear bombs 67 times.
And there you go. That's a clip from the new movie Golden Rule, Journey for Peace, an upcoming documentary produced in partnership with Veterans for Peace about America's first environmental protest boat. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is the filmmaker, Mr. Nolan Anderson, right here on the Live Zone. Nolan, good to see you, my friend, and welcome to the show.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, I got to tell you, I am truly intrigued. This really caught my attention. I actually love the trailer. I think it describes all things with regard to what you're trying to get across. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nolan, but back in 1958, as we just got a little preview of, a crew of 4 sailed the Golden Rule across the Pacific into a nuclear test zone off the Marshall Islands, in essence, to stop atomic detonations. Now, the mission helped to spark the global peace and environmental movement and resulted in the early nuclear test ban treaties themselves. Today, Nolan, that same boat sails again to spread a renewed message. Oh, do tell.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And it's appropriate that it's Veterans for Peace running the whole operation, because back in 1958, Captain Bigelow, the guy who kind of spearheaded the whole project, was a retired Navy commander. He resigned his post in response to the bombing that took place in Japan in World War II, and dedicated his life to this kind of activism. And yeah, after their protest sail back in the 50s, it led to so much controversy and upset in the public sphere that it forced a lot of conversations and pushed, the process along further in terms of limiting above ground nuclear testing. Led to the founding of other maritime-based protest groups like Greenpeace and Sea Shepherd. And today, that boat was underwater for decades. It had sank in some storms, and Veterans for Peace found it, pulled it out from the depths, and rebuilt and launched the boat. And what we got to document on this project was its passage from Hawaii back to the mainland, where it resumed that protest sailing and raising awareness, traveling all over the U.S. So it's a very active boat to this day.
Yeah, it's truly an amazing story. Not only that, but I'm thinking about what recently occurred, and that is Russian President Vladimir Putin making reference to, in essence, testing yet again nuclear weapons to a certain extent, to which President Trump then responded and said, you know what, we're going to do the same thing. It's an interesting time, and, well, if one reflects on what happened in the past, it's not something that will put a smile on your face.
No, definitely not. It's been alarming. There was a lot that inspired us to take on this project and start making this film years ago. And as the years have gone by, in the midst of post-production and editing, we had the war in Ukraine unfolding. We had rising tensions in the Middle East, conflict in Gaza, and now these rising tensions with the other nuclear powers in the world, namely Russia. I think people don't fully realize how fragile the moratorium on nuclear testing has been, and how intense the fallout could be if that was something that was to resume. It would be pretty catastrophic.
Yeah. All right. Well, we should also make mention that you yourself have to be more than a filmmaker. You actually took an expedition across the ocean, an experience of sailing the Golden Rule. How cool is that?
Oh my God, it was a life-changing experience. When I started that trip, I had probably stepped foot on a sailboat 2 or 3 times in my life, and it turned into a month-long expedition I'll never forget. And that's now something that I've carried on to the rest of my life. I live on a sailboat. I travel on a sailboat. I work on a sailboat. It's a pretty amazing thing.
Yeah. Hey, Nolan, when I grow up, can I be just like you? I mean, I think that's the coolest thing. Hey, real quick.
Thank you so much.
The film calls for a number of communities really impacted by nuclear testing to really stand up and speak out, if you will. And so what can people do today in response to all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, something that we talk about in the film is that the conversations that need to happen right now are conversations that haven't taken place in a long time, but there are communities leading the charge. There's Marshallese communities who have been personally impacted by the tests that took place in the 50s into today, and they're leading the charge in a lot of these conversations. Veterans for Peace is an example of an organization that's been leading the charge in disarmament talks, and but I think a lot ultimately comes down to the leadership that we put in place and who we choose to support. Are they voices for peace and stability, or are they, voices that push us and challenge us to be less unified? And there's a lot of power in numbers and mobilization. I think it's going to take people who disagree on a lot of other issues coming together to talk about the fact that I hope we can all agree we could use less nuclear bombs in the world. Yeah. And that's a message that I would love to see come through with this film.
Yeah, we've all heard it time and time again. Can't we all get along? In this case, we would all encourage you to check out the film entitled Golden Rule: Journey for Peace. Obviously, it's an amazing film, and it's spearheaded by none other than Mr. Nolan Anderson. Folks that want to get their hands on it, how would one go about to do so, my friend?
Yeah, goldenrulemovie.com. There's going to be a website available where people can go on, see the trailer, put their email in. They'll get notified when it releases on Veterans Day here this next week, November 11th. And that's when it'll be live on YouTube. So we'd love to see folks come on and watch and share the story.
All right. Congratulations. I cannot wait to watch it. I am really excited about doing just that. We truly appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, appreciate you for having me.
You bet. All right, folks. Well, if it's happening, and it's happening now, we're taking you there. In this case, Hakeem Jeffries, just speaking a minute ago, surrounding all things with regard to SNAP benefits, the government shutdown, and obviously the big blue wave. He is flanked by a number of Democrats as well. Let's take a live look in.
Playing field and respond to the outrageous and un-American attempt by Republicans to rig the elections. The Prop 50 vote also sends a message that while we didn't ask for this fight, that Democrats and the American people are ready and willing to fight back against this Republican scheme. Whether it's California, Virginia, Maryland, Illinois, or other states, we are prepared to fight back on every possible front, every step of the way. Last night's results also affirmed what we've been building here at the DCCC all year is the right recipe to win in 2026. In Virginia and New Jersey, voters overwhelmingly rejected the Republican vision that puts the wealthy and the well-connected over the needs of everyday families. It's a testament to the quality of candidates like Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger, our colleagues and now soon-to-be governors. They're both former Red to Blue candidates. They're former House Frontline members that flipped their seats in 2018. For the midterms, we're recruiting the same types of candidates. House Democrats are running incredible patriots all over the country who are raising their hands to serve their communities. They come from different backgrounds, different walks of life, but they are all united in their shared singular passion to fight for their communities, to make a difference, to work to lower costs and to improve the lives of working families. And they are ready to work hard. We cannot take anything for granted, and our candidates are out there working hard for every vote. Meanwhile, Republicans are only focused on how they can bend the knee to Donald Trump and rubber stamp his disastrous policies. Now, I say a lot, and I will say it again because it's true. Our great candidates are the difference. They are the ones who make the difference in our mission to take back the majority. Great candidates actually take the time to listen to their communities. If Republicans were actually listening to their communities, they'd know that people are hurting, they are struggling, all because of the reckless Republican agenda and their harmful policies. House Republicans are wrecking our economy, and people are struggling day to day. They are personally feeling how bad the economy has gotten under the Republican trifecta. Groceries, utility bills, housing, healthcare, childcare, everything is getting more expensive because of House Republicans. Trump and House Republicans promised on day one to lower costs, and they've broken that promise over and over and over again. It's going to cost them the House majority. All year we've been saying that Republicans are running scared, and last night showed us why. By every metric possible, we are seeing the American public sour on Republicans' disastrous record of broken promises. And it's why voters are going to reject them in the midterms. House Democrats have the better message. We have stronger candidates, more resources, and as we saw last night, a favorable political environment. The American people are with us. And that's a big, big reason why we're going to take back the majority in 2026. Thank you, and I'll open it up for questions. Mariana.
Through line between the success we saw in Virginia and New Jersey and also down in New York is obviously the message of affordability is one that House Democrats have been talking about throughout the year. We know that's going to be number one plank on whatever agenda you will have, but what other lessons, what other issues stood out to you over the last night that will also be part of this House Democratic agenda to bring back?
Well, it is the number one issue, and it was the number one issue in 2024 as well. And one big reason why we overperformed in the House, picking up seats on the Democratic side, was because we had candidates talking about economic issues, talking about those pocketbook issues on the ground. And it absolutely continues to be the top issue. Like I said, housing, healthcare, childcare, energy costs, groceries, all going up because of Republican policies. And people see that, they feel that. You saw people cast their vote knowing what's happening right now. We have candidates across the country who are talking about that. So that is having great candidates talking about the issues that matter, working hard, and actually listening to people is a huge reason why we win.
Affordability is definitively the decisive issue, as we saw last night, and our candidates now, governors-elect or mayors-elect, are on their way to serving the communities that they sought to represent, because they leaned in aggressively on driving down the high cost of living and addressing the affordability crisis that we have throughout America. In an environment where Donald Trump promised to lower costs on day one, but costs haven't gone down, costs are going up. Trump tariffs are making life more expensive for the American people by thousands of dollars per year, and the American people know it. Housing costs are up, child care costs are up, grocery costs are up, electricity bills are through the roof, and now throughout this 36-day Trump Republican shutdown, the American people know that for tens of millions of folks, their health care premiums, copays, and deductibles are about to skyrocket at levels that will make accessing a doctor unaffordable for them because of the Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. And so we're in an environment where Democrats are going to continue to lean in on lowering the high cost of living because America's too expensive right now, and continue to make clear that Republicans haven't done a damn thing to make their life more affordable. And in fact, they've done the opposite, which is to make life more expensive for working class Americans, middle class Americans, and everyday Americans. At the same time, what is also interesting is that you saw decisive Democratic victories in other parts of the country that clearly also signal the national environment that we're in. Sweeping the state Supreme Court races in Pennsylvania, a battleground state that Donald Trump just won last year. Winning down ballot statewide races in Georgia for the first time in 20 years. That's an indication of the environment and a rejection by everyday Americans of the extremism that Republicans have unleashed on the American people. And thanks to great leadership from Governor Newsom, who's done a phenomenal job leading the Prop 50 effort side by side with the congressional delegation led by Zoe Lofgren, Pete Aguilar, and Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, side by side with our partners in organized labor, side by side with the California legislative leaders. It was an all hands on deck effort to get Prop 50 over the finish line decisively. But Prop 50 didn't involve an individual name on the ballot. It was an idea that we have to stop Trump from stealing the midterm elections and give the American people the ability to decide who should actually represent them in the Congress after the 2026 midterms.
All right, there you have it yet again. House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries, in the chair of the House Democratic Campaign Committee, speaking on all things with regard to the Democrats. It was a huge win for Democrats across several states last night. In this case, the House Democratic leader happens to be in the state of California, obviously closer to home in Virginia. Abigail Spanberger, still all smiles after yet again becoming the first female governor of the state of Virginia. It's a story made for a movie, including this story. What about Mr. David Whelan? Who is he, you ask? Well, he had a life-changing injury and then battled chronic nerve pain. Would you believe he turned his trials into triumphs by embracing endurance sports, adaptive competition, and unbreakable mindset? Now you can hear that up close and personal for yourself. This upcoming Friday, November 7th at 7 p.m. at the Student Activity Center. Where at? Well, none other than you see it right there on your TV screen, the Washington Adventist University. Joining us to discuss this and so much more is Mr. Chad Morton, producer of Smash Entertainment, and Dr. Moon. He is the chaplain of Washington Adventist University. Gentlemen, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being patient.
Good afternoon. Good to be here.
I got to tell you, I am really excited about this. And so walk us through this. For folks that, for some reason, are crawling from under a rock and hearing about Mr. Whelan for the first time, his story is truly amazing, and I'm hoping you could expand on it.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I don't when he gets here because he tells his story, and it is a spectacular one indeed. But I will say, as an average American, to be hit with this horrific accident that could have just been the end for other people, to go through bouts of depression, to go through substance abuse, and to come back on the other side better, stronger, just an incredible speaker who just wants to give back and inspire and has traveled the world to do so. I can't wait for people to hear his story at Washington Adventist University on Friday at 6:15. We moved it up just a minute.
Oh, that's even better. You know what? I'm a stickler for time. And so, folks, make sure you take out your pen pad right now and write it down. That's at 6:15, not at 7 o'clock, because this is going to be a story unlike any other. You know, when you first heard it, Chad, and what was it? Did it happen to just be one thing that really caught your attention, or is it, well, the entire gambit, if you will?
You know, I would think a lot of Americans think, you know, we need to get in better shape. We need to start working out. What's going to be that thing that pushes us over the edge? And I think I was sharing this with Dr. Moon when he and I met at Washington Adventist University, that when you look at a person, just a regular person, not a superstar athlete, you know, not on college scholarship, just a regular man working, who goes through this horrific work accident and then comes out teaching himself how to swim with one leg.
Wow.
How to one leg. How to bike with one leg. What excuse do I have if I wake up a little drowsy, a little tired? No, there's no excuse. The Vulcan movement that David inspired has the key words. The Vulcan movement. ELCN, fight for it. I love it. Fight for it. Let's get out there and go. Make the best of every day, because anybody could have given up, and no one would have batted an eye and said, man, this happened to that guy. It's terrible. And I hate that this happened, and it's such a sad story. But he turned around. And for me, the biggest thing that I'm excited about Friday is him sharing his story. Other people who are going through tough times, not just physically. And I'll let Dr. Moon expand on that. But to the students who may be going through some difficult times, whether it's personal, emotional, how do you dig deep and turn it over? David was able to do that. I can't wait for you to. Yeah. And Dr. Moon, please.
Yeah, sure. But before we do that, Dr. Moon, and obviously this next question is posed to you, and Chad really did hit the nail on the head with that. And I'm thinking about the university's motto, and that happens to be Gateway to Service. You all do so much in the community with regard to service, and to now align yourself with this gentleman, it seems like it's a pair made in heaven.
That's right. So we are we're Gateway to Service. So twice a year, every first Wednesday in April and in October, we go out to our community and serve our community. And what is so special about having David on our campus is that we have many student athletes. I just joined their basketball games, which they won last Saturday. Sometimes as a student athlete, they know that there are limitations as to how much they can do. And often our tendencies want to give up when we feel like we have not really reached where we want to be, and sometimes when we lose. But we want to teach our students and our community to know just because there are some challenges in our life's journey, that doesn't mean it's the end. There are other people who overcome them, but true strength, our motto for this year is be strong. A time such as this is when we need to show that resilience, that resoluteness, standing up for our principles and truths. And this is what we want to teach our students, our community, that never give up, be always strong, like David Wellen. And we're looking forward to having him with us this Friday.
Yet again, we'll sell it one more time. It's taking place this upcoming Friday, 6:15 to be exact, at the Student Activity Center. You see it right there on your TV screen. Just minus that 7 o'clock part. Forget that even exists. Make sure you get there on time. And yet again, we have been speaking with Chad and Dr. Moon. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the show. I truly appreciate you all being patient.
Thank you so much for having us, and we appreciate you having us on. On behalf of Dr. Moon, I just want to say we look forward to seeing not just students, but the community at Washington.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Everybody.
You bet. All right, guys. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5's Live Zone. Well, you may recall the Trump administration sent out a massive warning on a potential link between the use of Tylenol during pregnancy and autism in children. Shortly thereafter, United States Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. partially walked back his warning. While doing so, Kennedy struck a more moderate tone than he generally has in the past. However, many would argue the damage is already done. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Ms. Jen Wirt. She is the CEO and founder of Coral Care. an in-home pediatric developmental therapy provider. And yet again, she's kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Good to see you, Ms. Wirt, and welcome to the show.
You too. Thank you so much for having me.
But of course. And so, Jen, I'm curious, your immediate response when you first heard the Health and Human Services Secretary say that Tylenol was a no-go for children.
My first reaction was just like my heart went out to all the moms. You know, these are moms who took their doctor's advice, did everything that they could, avoided like unpasteurized cheese, like truly did everything that they could to make a healthy baby. And now just the blame is cast on them. And blame does not help children. Support and access do. And I think what's been even more frustrating has been seeing what's been going in parallel to all of this kind of pointing fingers around what causes autism. We're seeing a lot of support being taken away from the Department of Special Education, and that's hurting families now, and it's creating a cycle of future struggles. People are going to lose their jobs, these clinicians that care for these kids, and there's just going to be fewer clinicians out there to actually help families with the support they need.
Yeah, obviously, Jen, this is really top of mind for so many Americans, but I'm curious, how does this affect you with regard to your practice?
So we're a private practice. We're really formed out of just this need that exists for families around the country who are stuck on wait lists. You know, families who need care, and that can be with or without a diagnosis, whether that's, you know, your child has speech delays, has some sensory challenges going on, or has a diagnosis and needs lots of different care over a long period of time. We were born out of this need, and even from my own experience firsthand of just waiting and waiting in spite of being told that the earlier that you get your child into care, the better. And so for our practice, we are working as fast as we can to support all of these children who do need support. And also working on the clinician side, where we provide practice management solutions for clinicians looking to reach these families and to work with them. And so we're trying to support everyone at the same time.
Jen, it's no secret. Some would argue that, as you heard me make mention in the open, the damage, it's already done. And so with that being said, what would you say right now, directly looking into that camera, to a woman who's pregnant and wants to use Tylenol?
I think ultimately, talk to your own doctor, your own OBGYN. Like, your health should really be between you and your care provider, and that's who you should be trusting. Because all of these claims are being made. We're seeing people take back their statements. There's so much noise on social media about there's so many different reasons for things going on. And when you're pregnant, it's a time where you're really nervous and scared, and it's a really big moment. And so trust your actual clinician related to your actual pregnancy.
Well said. Jen, folks that want to find out more information about Coral Care, how would one go about to do so?
Yeah, so families can just come to our website, joincoralcare.com, and search for local clinicians to come and work with your child.
Well, very good. Yet again, we've been speaking with Jen Wirt. She's the CEO and founder of Coral Care. Jen, truly appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
You bet. All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. It is now 1 minute past the top of the hour, 1:01 to be exact. Earlier today, well, a number of attorneys argued on behalf of President Trump, all surrounding his global tariffs, which appear to be on shaky ground after Supreme Court justices expressed skepticism during a hearing about his authority to impose sweeping measures on countries around the world. Attorneys on both sides now speaking to the press. Let's take a live look in.
President to issue this kind of sweeping arbitrary tariffs at issue in this case. They're also unconstitutional. Tariffs are taxes, and the Constitution grants taxes to Congress, not the president. Our founders designed a system of separation of powers to prevent exactly this kind of unilateral, lawless action. We thank the court for their time and look forward to the resolution of this matter.
Hi there, everyone. Thank you for coming today. I'm Victor Owen Schwartz, founder of VOS Selections. For nearly 40 years, my family has built this business from the ground up. Today, reckless tariffs threaten everything we've achieved. Let's be clear, these tariffs aren't paid by foreign governments or companies. It's American businesses like mine and American consumers that are footing the bill for the billions of dollars collected monthly by our government. Unlike past tariffs set by Congress that we could plan around, these new tariffs are arbitrary. They're unpredictable and they're bad for business. They've thrown my family business and thousands of others into chaos. The pain has been felt across the country, from warehouse workers and truckers to retailers and restaurateurs. That's why I joined this lawsuit. I was shocked that those with more power and money did not step up. The reason I was able to file this case is because the Liberty Justice Center did step up and offered 100% pro bono legal services to me and other affected small businesses. When I was given the chance to speak up for small American businesses, I took it. I had to. Our very survival is at stake. I'm grateful to the Liberty Justice Center and our legal team for their vigorous advocacy. And I urge the court to recognize the real harm these tariffs inflict on American families and businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Can you confirm that John Mulaney was there because he's your friend?
Yes.
All right, there you again, you have it. President Trump's global tariffs appear to be yet again on shaky ground with the Supreme Court. They expressed skepticism, as you heard the attorneys arguing that the tariffs are quite honestly not legal. One of the attorneys stating new tariffs are bad for business. One of the many things we will continue to follow for you right here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Speaking of following, Joey, let's go ahead and take you to Miami. Let's bring this up. President Donald Trump headed to Miami. He's due to speak any minute now. This is the America Business Forum. The event comes, as you just saw, the Supreme Court hears arguments on the legality of tariffs. Now, a White House official said the focus of Trump's speech today will be on the economy and affordability. I am really curious to hear what the president has to say, specifically surrounding perhaps the blue wave that took place in the states of Virginia, of course, New Jersey, and the city of New York. We'll take a quick break, and the president should be standing right there in front of you next, right here on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Yet again, we are awaiting the president to speak momentarily. In the meantime, with the hostage deal now concluded and most remaining hostage bodies returned, Israel now entering a new and painful phase, one of healing, rebuilding, and remembering. Our next guest, Advi Bachman, is the founder of Operation Israel, a 100% volunteer team that raises and delivers critical aid from medical gear and food to funds straight to soldiers, first responders, and families on the front line. She joins us now right here on the Live Zone. Advi, good to see you and welcome to the show. So I got to ask you, this is truly a one-of-a-kind situation that we find ourselves in. I can't think of, how recent we've been in this situation, and yet you continue to really shine unlike any other. I'm hoping you could talk about your next chapter, if you will. In this case, how your organization is really shifting from emergency response to national recovery and resilience. Oh, do tell.
Absolutely. So I'm sure a lot of us know that Israel's defenders stand in the forefront of defending Western culture, really, and the Western world in general. And our mission is to strengthen that defense against terrorism in general and for the people of Israel specifically. And so we are shifting into larger fundraising activities to really try to gear towards strengthening that defense. And that's both from a post-trauma perspective, for example, working on post-trauma care for a lot of these soldiers that are now coming back with some severe transition issues, and also defending and strengthening the defense and working on a lot of technological initiatives that have to do with defending borderline towns and areas that have in the past traditionally been less and less sort of thought about in the conflict. And so it's not necessarily just in regards to the Gaza area and the more talked about areas, but really strengthening the defense across the country, strengthening the resilience, working with soldiers and first responders and with the community security teams in those border towns to make sure that they are well protected, well defended, know how to defend themselves, know how to identify the threats and prevent the next October 7th from happening, and really safeguard the entire Western world from this extreme terrorism.
Yeah, you just made mention of October 7th, and a lot of folks perhaps do not know, but Operation Israel was formed in the chaotic hours following October 7th. I got to ask you, what was that moment like for you? How were you able to put all of it together during such a chaotic time?
I'll be very honest with you. It was very traumatic for me and for my family. We were sitting in our living room in northern New Jersey, where I've lived for the past 25 nearly years, and watching everything coming on Telegram, on TV, all the horrible videos. My brother went straight to fight. He is a reservist. Almost everybody that I knew that could enlist and go back to the Army went back to the Army. I had a close friend that was trapped in her house in Kfar Aza with her kids stuffed inside closets. My stepdaughter was serving in one of the bases that was attacked. We couldn't find her for hours. When we finally did find her, she called and said to her father, Abba, which is father, daddy in Hebrew, all of my friends are dead. We were absolutely shocked and horrified. And in those moments, we realized, and I realized, that I had to act in order to survive, literally just to survive.
Wow.
And so I went into action mode.
And look at the results. You know, you all have done amazing things within that time. You all are also known as digital first responders and boots on the ground angels. I absolutely love that. Can you share perhaps one story that best captures what your team spirit is all about?
I can tell you one thing. We are a whole volunteer organization. We received our 501c3 accreditation on October 17th. So I applied for it literally the Monday right after October 7th. And I really do believe that God put our team together in order to do what needed to be done. We are a group of weird, neurodivergent people from very different walks of life. We have a software engineer, we have a medical doctor, I'm a businesswoman, and I have a management consulting firm. So we all came from different walks of life. Some of us didn't even know each other until October 7th. And the one thing that really kind of keeps us together and keeps us working and volunteering literally around the clock is the true spirit of Israel, the Jewish people, and the Western world, really, because we truly feel and we believe, and we've seen it with our own eyes, what terrorism can do. I was actually here in New York City on 9/11, and I helped in Israel. I was a paramedic many years ago before I moved to the States, and I helped take care of people that were injured that came across the river to Jersey City. And those experiences really shaped my belief in regards to terrorism and how defense is really our number one, should be our number one priority as people who believe in kind of peace and live and let live and allow other people to live in peace. And so I think that is what's keeping us together, the knowledge that we are saving lives every single day with the work that we do and our exceptional abilities that were just put together. You can call it God, you can call it Gizmet, you can call it whatever you like, but we've seen it in reality day after day.
Yeah, I like to call it truly one of a kind, because that's exactly what you and your organization happens to be doing. We'll end with this, Ms. Faxman, and that is, now that the fighting has really slowed, what's next for Operation Israel?
So I can tell you one thing, the soldiers on the ground may feel that the fighting has slowed down, but they are also feeling that they're sitting ducks. So really, surveillance and defense mechanisms and technologies that are kind of stemming and growing from the field are right now one of the highest priorities that we're focusing on, whether it's tank integrated drone systems, whether it's camera systems that can help them have eyes in areas that they don't have eyes, because they are sitting ducks and they are being attacked on a daily basis. Another thing that we are working on is mental health initiatives. Mental health initiatives are very necessary. Israel in its entirety right now is in a state of trauma, not even in the post-trauma stage, but a lot of these soldiers, and especially the reservists, and they are young fathers and they need help and they need it right away. So we are working on creating larger mental health initiatives. We are working on initiatives, like I said, with border towns to work on their defense capabilities. We're working on simulators to enable them to learn and study and practice how to defend themselves in an event of a terrorist attack. And those are just some of the initiatives that we're working on now.
Yeah, well, continued success to you, ma'am, and thank you so much for joining us yet again. You all are doing amazing work. We wish you the best.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here tonight.
You're welcome. We have been speaking with Advi Waxman. She is the founder, CEO, if you will, of Operation Israel, and kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Make it a great day.
Thank you so much, Guy.
All right. Speaking of days, it is a busy day right here on the Live Zone. We're taking a live look yet again at that's the America Business Forum in Miami. We are awaiting President Trump to address the crowd there in just a minute. He will be discussing all things on the economy and affordability. However, when we come back, how about we talk about the blue wave that took place in Virginia? Victoria Churchill joins us next, right here on the Live Zone. All right, folks, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone, we are 17 minutes past the top of the hour, and, well, you're taking a look at it right there. Abigail Spanberger, the next governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. It was a huge night, not only for her, but the Democrats overall. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Victoria Churchill with Young Voices and U.S. political reporter for the Daily Mail. I should make mention, this is your first time live in the studio. Good to see you, Victoria.
Yes, good to see you. We've done the Zoom and now we're here in person.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here. You know who else is glad? A lot of Democrats right now. They are smiling from ear to ear. Let's start with Abigail Spanberger, the former CIA officer and Virginia Congresswoman, defeated Winsome Earl Sears, becoming the state's first woman governor. Now, she ran on issues like lowering costs, improving public safety, and strengthening the middle class. Themes, Victoria, that really resonated across suburban counties.
They, of course, did. You know, we looked at the arrows in 2024. Lots of counties shifted toward Donald Trump, and a lot of those counties, particularly in the greater Washington, D.C. suburbs, drifted back towards Democrats. That also meant that not only did Democrats pick up all 3 statewide offices, but they also gained significant margins in the House of Delegates as well. And so whatever Spanberger is going to be pushing through for her agenda, she is going to have the backing of the legislature to do that. I know before when we talked about maybe a potential Republican victory here and there being a potential check on the Spanberger agenda, it doesn't look like that's what we're going to get in Virginia.
You made reference to the House of Delegates. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Democrats picked up 13 seats.
I believe so,
altogether. What do you expect now to see unfold sometime in the near future with, yet again, the Democrats now, in essence, running things in the state of Virginia?
Sure. I mean, so first off, Governor Youngkin did a press conference today where he talked about, ensuring a peaceful transition. That was something that he wants to have as a continuation of his legacy.
Sure.
And then with Spanberger, I think it'll be interesting to see what Democrats choose to do, particularly on the issue of public safety, because as you mentioned, that was one key element of Spanberger's campaign. However, her Attorney General, Jay Jones, of course, had that text message scandal, which we've talked about a couple of times before, where he wanted to put 2 bullets in the heads of the former Republican House Speaker and watch his children, die for basically political gain. And that man is now going to be the chief law enforcement officer in Virginia. And so on one hand, you have somebody that is a career law enforcement official going to be pushing policies from the governor's mansion. But then what that actually looks like on the Attorney General side, I think that's going to be an interesting balance to look at.
Yeah, you just made mention of Jay Jones. We chuckled a little bit earlier because in my notes I have, don't call it a comeback. And it was a comeback in a major way for him with regard to really overcoming that text scandal. What does it say that the everyday Virginian said, you know what, we are going to overlook that and still elect him to the next post as the Attorney General?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of Republicans are a little bit shocked because to them that signified that their neighbors are willing to basically have their children suffer for political gain. So that's definitely something that I'm seeing from Republicans in Virginia. And then another thing that is interesting to note is that Attorney General Miyares actually was winning the fundraising game from that Attorney General seat, particularly after the text message scandal. And he was out messaging Jones on the airwaves, but that still was not enough to get that message out, I think, as much as Republicans would have liked, which I think is interesting because the Republicans were significantly outraised in both the governor's race as well as the lieutenant governor's race.
Yeah, I got to tell you, this is truly interesting. Speaking of interesting, but wait, there's more. History made yet again. We're making reference to Ghazala Hashemi becoming the first Muslim woman and first South Asian American to hold statewide office. Yet again, it's history in the making.
It is history, but, on the other hand, we saw the National Association of Colored Peoples, the NAACP, they chose not to endorse the African-American woman that was running for governor. They chose to go with the Democrat. So I think it's interesting for somebody that wants to talk about firsts and particularly demographic firsts, an organization that has pushed that, they chose to go with the opposite as their preferred candidate and who, of course, ended up winning.
Yeah. All right, let's take it up the road, I-95, in this case up the New Jersey Turnpike to, well, none other than the state of New Jersey, where we now saw the Democrats reigning supreme there as well, making reference to Democrat Mikey Sherrill to become the next governor of the Garden State. A lot of folks saying that this was a really tight race and, well, it was really a toss-up. She coming out victorious.
She did win that as well. And again, I think Republicans were very energized there, particularly when they were looking at the last few weeks of the 2024 presidential election. President Trump, then, Republican nominee, now current President Trump, had his massive Wildwood, New Jersey rally, and that was kind of something that Republican strategists across the state pointed to. But I think what we're really seeing, and even the president himself said this, kind of trying to distance himself from these losses last night, is that these low propensity Trump voters, these voters at the Trump machine in in both 2016 as well as 2024 was able to get out of the woodwork because people were kind of enthused by this cult of personality that we see with the commander-in-chief. Because Trump's name was not on the ballot, those voters stayed home, and there was underperformance even from Chitterelli's last statewide race that he ran 4 years ago. That was kind of a part of why he thought he should be the top of the ticket there again, is because he came so close against, current, seemed to be former Governor Phil Murphy in New Jersey. But Chitterelli underperformed, I think, expectations, but also his previous result as well.
Yeah, one thing President Trump definitely had his eye on happened to be New York City, where we now know that Zohran Mamdani will become the next mayor. Deemed or dubbed, if you will, as somewhat of a socialist, a socialist Democrat, as he stated. I'm curious, what do you think he will face in the near future? As well, it's no secret, President Trump and the Trump administration will throw any and everything at him.
They absolutely will. But, I think even some of his doubters come in among other Democrats. There was already liberal media outlets last night putting the spin on the idea that even though Mamdani has lofty goals, a lot of his policies, like, for example, raising taxes, have to go through Albany, through the state legislature where he currently is a state senator. And there you have Kathy Hochul, who, at least on the Democrat spectrum, is more of a moderate. She herself has to be up for re-election in 2026. And so the question is, I think, how much will she side with his policies versus also realize that to keep her office, she needs to not alienate the more moderate Democrats that, she was able to be successful with just a couple of years ago. But Hochul herself also campaigned with Mamdani in the final days of his campaign. So I think she'll kind of try to play both sides, but it'll be interesting to see. I mean, from the Mamdani camp, they won with over 50% of the vote, so they are going to definitely bring that up as a mandate to Albany, saying, we have so many people supporting us. This is what New York City wants. And so I think we'll see some tensions between New York City and New York State moving forward.
All right. Well, speaking of tension, a lot of tension now as we await the 2026 midterms. Yet again, I wish we had a crystal ball in front of us, Victoria, so we can tell what's going to happen. But I don't know. Perhaps you can give us some insight. What do you think will unfold?
Well, we already saw this from Republicans even before polls closed yesterday. I believe it was the National Republican Senatorial Committee was trying to tie a bunch of the Democrat potential nominees, potential frontrunners in a lot of these key states where Republicans have to hold on, and they have these Democrat candidates that are running against them more in this democratic, socialist, populist Mamdani mold. They sent out a slew of press releases tying Mamdani to all of these candidates, and so I think that will pursue. Also, I think for the House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries, who I know you cut to his speech just a few minutes ago, he endorsed Mamdani, but probably quite reluctantly, because he only did it in the final days of the campaign, and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer never actually fully throatedly endorsed him. And so I think we're definitely going to be seeing this tension in the Democrat Party, because now Republicans will say anybody that is endorsed by Jeffries is also endorsed by somebody that endorsed Mamdani. So they're going to try and draw those parallels very clearly moving forward.
I got to tell you, a lot of folks really up in arms, if you will, with regard to what's going on in the political world. Joey, let's do this. Let's go ahead and take it right outside. I believe, is this outside of the White House, or at least it's right here in Washington, D.C. I'm making reference to this large anti-fascist protest that's now occurring. Obviously, the camera has somewhat shifted since we first got video of this, but apparently, Victoria, a number of folks, in essence, yet again, crying foul. This looks like it's right outside or along Constitution Avenue. We apologize for the shaky camera. There we go. We can now see a number of folks protesting in the streets and pretty much saying, well, you see the sign right there, Trump must go now. It's interesting to me, Victoria, that this is actually occurring now, one day after, yet again, the big Democratic wave taking place in multiple states, including Virginia, New Jersey, in the city of New York.
Well, obviously this right here, Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. has always been home to protests, both in Democrat and Republican administrations. This is people exercising their First Amendment. I see them doing it peacefully. At this moment, I don't have a problem with it. Of course, if it goes south, that's another question, as we've seen it go in other localities around the country. But, this is people just voicing their opinions. And of course, I'm sure a lot of these people, if you actually went out and talked to them, these might be some disgruntled federal workers that are now victims of the longest ever government shutdown. And, I also think it's interesting because if you go up and ask them, they'll probably tell you that it's Trump's fault that the government is shut down, despite the fact that there needs to be 60 votes in the Senate to pass funding package, and
Sure.
of course there's not 60 Republicans serving in the Senate. So it'll be interesting to see what Republicans choose to do from here. Trump himself also pointed to the shutdown as a potential reason for the results last night. So it'll be interesting to see whether he further pressures Republicans to end the shutdown. He had all of them, even some of his nemesis like Senator Rand Paul, were at the White House for breakfast this morning. And so it'll be interesting to see if they can come together, and if so, what will they actually give the Democrats? Will the Democrats have gained enough power last night to actually pull some levers in Washington, even though there was no new Democrats? Well, I guess there was technically a new Democrat in the Texas special election.
Sure.
But outside of that, the numbers haven't shifted favorably for the Democrats. But now they again, kind of like we were talking about Mamdani, they'll probably go in and say, this is the will of the American people. What are you going to do without it now, Mr. President?
To your point, yet again, day 36 of the government shutdown with still no end in sight. Victoria, I sound like a broken record. I have been saying that for 36 days now, and it still seems to appear to be the case. One of the interesting things that, as we take a look at, yet again, this protest that appears to be happening either on Pennsylvania Avenue or down Constitution Avenue, we haven't gotten a confirmation as yet. It's not as though that it looks like this was a last-minute effort, if you will. I see a number of signs that the protesters are actually carrying. Folks actually dressed up in certain costumes as well. So apparently, perhaps, this was planned for quite some time. To your point, it's somewhat peaceful, or we can tell that it's peaceful thus far. That is key, and we've seen time and time again where these things have, turned to violence at some point, and that's not the way to really express your right of being able to protest. I would assume you would agree with that, Victoria.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think one of the best ways to protest is the ballot box, and I think we definitely saw that probably from some of these folks here yesterday as well.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to keep a close eye on this. All of this taking place as yet again, President Trump now in Miami. He is about to speak at the America Business Forum, discussing a number of things. Real quick, as we take a look at this, one of the interesting things that we discovered about an hour ago, he will be speaking about the economy and affordability right now in America. But Will Smith was due to be on the ticket as well. And about a month ago, he was on that ticket. Shortly thereafter, President Trump announced that he too happened to be speaking at the American Business Forum, and Will Smith was removed. And so for the man that coined the song Going to Miami, well, it's quite interesting that he will not be in Miami alongside President Trump when that gets underway. We truly appreciate you joining us right here on the Live Zone. Victoria Churchill, of course, she is with the Young Voices and also with the Daily Mail. We thank you so much for being in studio. This was really cool. I got to get a chance to have you come in studio a lot more. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome. All right, folks, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, folks, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone, you are taking a look at a protest that's currently taking place right here in the nation's capital. Today is the one-year anniversary of Donald Trump's re-election as president. Some 10 to 20,000 protesters throughout the city of Washington, D.C. are now rallying in an effort to, well, so many words, tell Trump to go home. The Trump Must Go Now rally began at 11 a.m. this morning, and well, the protesters marched past the White House, the Capitol, and the Supreme Court to indict all three institutions which are dominated by fascists now. That's one of the many things that's taking place. Meanwhile, in Miami, we are expecting President Trump to appear right there any minute now. This is the America Business Forum. While there, the president will touch on all things with regard to the economy and affordability. Here's what we'll do. We'll bring you back here to the nation's capital. Let's take a live look in to a number of the protesters with regard to what they are saying about the president. All right, yet again, you have been listening to protesters right here in the nation's capital. They are outraged as, well, President Trump, this marks the one-year anniversary of his re-election. You heard chants of, hey, hey, Trump has got to go. Well, one thing's for sure, the president has gone to Miami, where he is about to deliver a speech on all things surrounding the economy and affordability. Let's go ahead and take a live look in.
Across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Wow, what a nice group. And I love Miami. I love to be with the people. Many of you are not from Miami, but that's okay too. And I'm thrilled to be back in magnificent Florida, Miami, Florida, with thousands of incredible business leaders and true American patriots. That's what you are. We're gathered today on the one-year anniversary of the single most consequential election victory, they say. This is them, this isn't me. I'm a very modest person, I would never say this. The single most consequential election victory in American history. It's possible. I mean, it's possible. We've done a lot. On November 5th, 2024, the American people reclaimed our government. We restored our sovereignty. We lost a little bit of sovereignty last night in New York, but we'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. We rescued our economy, regained our liberty, and together we saved our country. On that magnificent night, 365 days ago, you know, I was with a group of very important people, and they say, think of it, last week, just last week, 6 days ago, 7 days ago, they said, you were campaigning 1 year ago. I said, no, it felt like I've been in this position for so long. And it's right. At that point, 1 year ago, I was actually campaigning. We did the McDonald's shot. Remember the McDonald's shot? We did the garbage truck shot. And actually, the McDonald's one was the biggest hit in the history of Google. Can you believe that? Number one, the garbage truck did well, but not as well. I guess there's something about McDonald's, right? But it worked, and we won a tremendous election. We won all 7 swing states. We won the great state of Florida, by the way, by 1.4 million votes, which is unprecedented. Biggest victory ever in Florida, including an 11-point victory right here in a place called Miami-Dade County. We won the popular vote for the first time of any Republican in many decades. We won the Electoral College 312 to 226. And we won 86% of the counties in America. That's a big one. 2,700 to 525. I'd say that's called a landslide, right? We got more votes from African Americans than any Republican candidate in history. We also won a record share of votes from the incredible Hispanic American community. There might be a couple of us. Biggest vote in history. And above all, we won a resounding mandate to make America great again, which is what we're doing. And every day since, I've been fighting to turn the promise made into the ultimate promise kept. We're going to do our job. We have a big job to do. We've done really well. I think it's the best 9 months, they say, of any president. And I really believe that if we can have a few more 9 months like this, you'd be very happy. You'd be very satisfied. But it's been pretty incredible, with trillions and trillions of dollars being poured back into our country by other countries and other places and people. 1 year ago, we were a dead country. Now we're a country that's considered the hottest country anywhere in the world. It's the hottest country. We are now in the hottest country anywhere in the world. And I'm pleased to report that today the United States has the strongest economy, the strongest borders, the strongest military, the strongest friendships, and the strongest spirit of any nation anywhere. We have the greatest economy right now. A lot of people don't see that. But if you look at what's happening with all the factories, AI, auto plants all over the country being built, that if you would have thought about that 2 or 3 years ago, you would have said it was the opposite. They were all leaving. Now they're all coming in. They're all coming back and then some. And I think that we can honestly say, and I think you're going to see it even more so over the next 12 months, that this is the golden age of America. This is the golden age. In the prior 4 years, crooked Joe Biden oversaw less than $1 trillion of new investment in the United States. So in 4 years, think of it, less than 1 trillion. That was not doing too good. In 9 months, I've secured commitments of over $18 trillion, and we're going to have 21 trillion within the first year. So Sleepy Joe did, think of that. In 4 years, he did less than $1 trillion. We're going to have 21 trillion in 1 year. I would say it's slightly better. Slightly, just a little bit better. The stock market has set 40-time all-time record highs, and just recently, record high, record high, record high. All of them, all of the different exchanges. GDP growth in the second quarter was an amazing, almost 4%. And as you know, they said, oh, it'll be 2% or 1%. And it's been really helped a lot by the tariffs. It's been really helped incredibly, because this is really a transition period. We went from a horrible, failed country to a tremendous success. It's a transition, and yet we did almost 4%, triple and even quadruple almost every other country anywhere in the world. Think of that. In the third quarter, we're on track to achieve an estimated 4.2, maybe more, who knows. I think if you go a couple of years out, you're going to see numbers like you've never seen, because all of these places that are now under construction, they're being built, they're going to be open, and thousands of jobs, hundreds of thousands of jobs are coming in, even building them. But when they open, that's when you're really going to see the numbers. We're building some of the biggest buildings ever built anywhere in the world. The AI buildings, you know, they can cover, they show displays of them. They can cover the island of Manhattan. They're so big. They literally can cover the island of Manhattan. In 9 months, we've lifted over 600,000 Americans off of food stamps, which is a record. 1.9 million more American-born workers are employed today. Think of that. Almost 2 million American-born workers are employed today, more than when I took office. That's 9 months ago. Can you imagine that? And I tell Republicans, if you want to win elections, you got to talk about these facts, you know. It's really easy to win elections when you talk about the facts. And we have more people working now than at any time in the history of our country. Right now, we have more people working. These are things you have to talk about. It doesn't just happen. You got to tell them. It's wonderful to do them, but if people don't talk about them, then you can do not so well in elections. Wages for workers are rising at the fastest pace in over 60 years. Those are workers, and that's what we love. We love the workers. Since I took office, wages for the typical factory worker are up $1,300. Construction workers' pay is up $2,200, and miners are up nearly $5,000 this year alone. And that's good, because it's not, you know, such an extra cost to the company. It really isn't. Somebody goes, oh, well, it's going to cost more. The fact is that they're doing such business like they've never done. You're going to start seeing numbers coming out very soon that are going to blow your mind. Under Biden, we had the worst inflation in modern history. We had inflation that was so bad, costing the typical family about $33,000 over a period of time. Their policies send food prices up 23. They come in, you know, when I first came in, I was in for 3 days, and one of the fake news members, they're all back there, that's a lot of press. Fake news. They said, egg prices are through the roof. I was there for 3 days, and this maniac, this lunatic person, happened to be a woman. Sir, what are you going to do about egg prices? And they had gone up like 4 or 5 times. I said, well, you just told me it has a problem. And people weren't buying Easter eggs. You believe it? I said, we're buying Easter eggs for the White House, for the egg hunt, the famous egg hunt. But within a couple of months, we got them down. We have a great Department of Agriculture headed by Brooke Rollins, and we did a great job, and we got them down to the level they originally were a long time ago. Now we have that in just about everything. And if we don't have it, we get them down. Their policies sent food prices soaring 23%, the Biden policies. And it wasn't him. It was the people surrounding him around the desk. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. Biden. How the hell did that happen? Well, I know how it happened. A rigged election. That's how it happened. Think of the damage done. Although I must tell you, but this is a much more powerful term. I mean, this is a much better term. In one way, it's bad to see how bad people... You're going to see the same thing in New York, by the way. You watch what happens in New York. Terrible. But you're going to see that same thing. And I hope it doesn't happen, but you're going to see it. Gas prices are surging to $5 a gallon, and even higher, and mortgage rates skyrocketed by 152%. But under the Trump administration, all of that is changing. Prices are coming down very fast, and we're bringing them back to the beautiful part where you can have, and you can truly say, we're talking about the American dream again. You didn't used to hear that term. You heard it during my 4 years, and then it disappeared. Now you're hearing it again more than ever. Because we had the most successful economy in the history of our country during my first 4 years. We rebuilt the economy, cut the biggest tax cut in history. We had the biggest tax cut in history, the biggest regulation cut in history. That's why we had the great economy. And now, the only difference is we're doing better this time. Actually, we're going to have a bigger, better, stronger economy than the first 4 years. And that was the most successful economy in history. Gasoline prices have plummeted to the lowest in 2 decades, and we're going to soon see $2 gasoline. Think of that, $2 a gallon. It was up to $4.50, $5. And you know, when you get gasoline and you get oil and gas down, it's so big, it's so massive, the importance of it, that everything else starts to follow. And that's what's happening. Grocery prices are way down, and Walmart just announced that the cost of their standard Thanksgiving meal, this is the greatest. They're wonderful. They come out every year with how much does a Thanksgiving meal cost compared to last year, right? And it always goes up, up, up. It's 40%, 30% more. Is 25% lower than 1 year ago. Isn't that great? That's a big deal, Rima. That's a big deal. I don't know if they care about that in Saudi Arabia, but here it means a lot. We got the princess here from Saudi Arabia. She's got a lot of cash. Serious cash, and she's a great person. So she doesn't care about the price of a turkey is down a little bit, you know, she doesn't have to worry about it. Since March, the price of eggs is down 85%. Energy prices are down, interest rates are down, despite the fact that we have a total nincompoop at the Federal Reserve. It was recommended by one of my real great people, who I'd never spoke to again. And the cost of the typical new mortgage is down by nearly $3,000 a year. Day by day, we're making America affordable again. It's going to be affordable again at a really record pace. And, you know, other people are going to take credit. All the mayors and all the governors, they're going to say what a great job. They didn't do a damn thing. Yet as we speak, the Democrats in Congress are trying to put all of this progress at risk and drag us back to the Biden policies of soaring prices, crushing energy costs, massive spending, open borders, let the world come into our country from prisons and from mental institutions, let them pour in, and rampant inflation. That's what Biden gave us, all of those things. With the reckless Democrat shutdown, virtually every Democrat in Congress has voted to hold the American people hostage in an effort to extort hundreds of billions of dollars in new spending. They're demanding free health care for illegal aliens that just came into our country from prisons and from mental institutions, and drug dealers and drug addicts, and they want to give them $1.5 trillion in giveaways that would turbocharge rapid inflation again, as they did the first time. You remember that just a couple of years ago, 4 disastrous years we just had. They were the worst years. Meanwhile, the radical left Democrats are causing millions of Americans who depend on food stamps to go without benefits. They're forcing federal workers to go without paychecks, and they're stranding thousands of travelers at the airports. And you understand it, and they understand it. All because they want to return to the failed Biden policies that created, and also Obama policies. I watched him the other day up talking, well, Donald Trump is a mean person. I'm not a mean person. I just want to have a country that's great again. Is that okay? I'm not a mean person.
Yet again, you are watching President Trump speaking at the America Business Forum. The president touching on all things surrounding the economy and affordability. You can continue watching this by streaming it on our YouTube page. You see it right there on your TV screen, youtube.com/@Fox5DC. On behalf of my producer, Joey, I'm Guy Lambert. We truly appreciate you watching. We do it each and every Monday through Friday, 12 to 2. The Take, coming up next, right here on Fox 5.